Yes, it's that time again. It's TechTalk time. And today, in this edition, we'll introduce you to the FR-2 loudspeaker from Lyngdorf Audio. And Roland Hoffman is with us from Lyngdorf Audio. So who better to talk about the speaker and introduce it? Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. The FR-2 is a very interesting speaker, I think, even though there are hundreds or thousands of speakers out there already. But with the FR-2, it's still something unique in the market, because most speakers are made for, tuned for placement in the room with a safe distance from the walls. You could almost say the more distance from the walls, the better they sound, because they were kind of measured without any room influence. So they sound better the more you move them away from any boundary. But of course, not everyone can do that. Mm-hmm. Not everyone can place the speaker so far into the room. So many people like to have speakers close against the wall, or even in a very pure looking room, place them right against the wall. So when we discussed this idea with our acoustic engineers, they thought actually it has some advantages to do that.
Okay.
If we place the woofers very close to the wall and make the speaker very flat, we can have an acoustic benefit of that. So I come to that later, but these two ideas basically came together. So one is a visual aspect, that people like to place the speaker close to the wall, and the second is it has an acoustic advantage to do that. These are the two main ideas of the FR-2.
Mm-hmm. And technology-wise, take us through.
Technology-wise, we have a soft dome tweeter with a very, very strong magnet and a slight light horn loading, and very powerful magnets and a very powerful driver design for the cones, for the mid-range woofers as well. Mm-hmm. They run in double parallel, so it's a two-way speaker, and the two woofers run in parallel, so basically cover a big range without having one big woofer.
Okay.
So that's the basics. It has a down-firing bass reflex port, so it's not to the front and not to the back, but down-firing, and there's a little gap between the speaker and the floor. So that's where the bass reflex has its opening, its port, basically to the sides and to the front. And the rest of the acoustic principle is of a speaker placed against the wall. Mm-hmm. And the advantage I was talking about is that normally if you place speakers way into the room in the hope to even out the bass, in one way you make the bass more even, but you always add a problem, and that is that bass waves always radiate around the speaker in every direction. So they also go to the wall behind the speaker and reflect back, but they come back delayed. They come back too late, and they create, if you measure it, they create some very uneven bass. So the bass smears up, it blurs, it's not as punchy, it's not as tight anymore. And that happens every time you move the speaker or any speaker away from the wall. So you always have these very uneven bass because of the distance to the wall behind it. There's one spot where it doesn't happen, and that if you move the speaker, which you make as flat as possible, as close as possible to the wall, and then the reflected wave from the wall is almost in time with the original wave from the driver. Yep. So you have no smear, no blurred bass. It is actually better punch, better timing, better so-called impulse response. And the whole speaker in the low frequencies, as we call it, couples better to the acoustics of the whole room, because it doesn't treat the wall as an enemy, acoustically speaking, which creates this delayed reflection. It works together with the wall, and that makes the whole bass performance in the room at the listening position actually better. So now we have two benefits together. It looks quite good against the wall, and some people like to place it because it looks more discreet and more clean. Mm-hmm. And actually it sounds better in the bass.
Yeah, you can even mount it against the wall.
Yeah, we also have it's a floor standing speaker, but we also add a wall mount, so you can hang it on the wall, and then you have a little bit space underneath the speaker. That looks even better. Yeah. It's also even good for simple things like cleaning and so on. So that works great, and the speaker cannot tip to any side. So it's just also safer to have it at the wall, and that looks great. We have it in 3 different colors, like in a matte white, matte black, and a color we call it mocha, like a light brown. And also you can mix and match the front baffle color. So it's, in many ways, it's a very, almost a lifestyle or design speaker.
Mm-hmm. Taking advantage of the coupling with the wall, in terms of the bass performance, does it need much amplification power then?
No, that's the other great thing. If the speaker works together with the wall, then you actually gain some impact in the bass, and that makes the speaker more efficient. So the speaker itself is already very efficient because of the powerful magnets. So we have over 90 dB sensitivity of the speaker itself. Okay. But the rest also comes from how the room interacts with the wall. So no bass energy gets lost. It's quite the opposite. It's exaggerated, but in the right amount. So it's normally every speaker, if you move it too close to the wall, the bass gets too much. Yeah. And with the FR-2, it's almost the other way around. The closer you move it to the wall, the more even the bass response gets, with the extra advantage of having better punch and timing and impulse response.
Yeah. Okay.
That's essentially the FR-2.
And how low does it go?
It on paper it reaches 40 hertz, but then it has a slight roll off, so it doesn't cut at 40 hertz. Mm-hmm. But you perceive it as much lower because it works so well together with the wall behind it. So it reaches -3, -6. You of course get you get down to 35 hertz, no problem.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's
so
quite
it's a full-range speaker, and it's a very small footprint. So most speakers who reach that low or have that amount of impact in the bass, they have to be much larger. And we only have 2 relatively small-sized mid-woofers.
Yeah. And in terms of budget, what are we talking about?
We talk about a speaker that's around €4,000 a pair. And that for a speaker made and assembled in Denmark. So we make our own cabinets, we lacquer the speaker, we assemble the speaker all in Skive in Denmark. And that's a really fair price for such a speaker, how it's made and how it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. Should you be interested in this speaker and combine it with a Lyngdorf amplifier, which one would be the one to go to pair it with?
Since the speaker is very efficient, it really works with every speaker, with every amplifier. So even if you have an amplifier which is a bit low on the output side, or even a tube amplifier or something like that, the speaker is so efficient and it works so good together with the room that even lower power amplifiers work great. So that's the good thing. With Lyngdorf, of course, you have the advantage that we have room perfect in our amplifiers. Yeah. So then again, it's really a case of 1 + 1 is more than 2, because you have the advantage of the FR-2 made for wall placement for this better bass impulse response, and then you have room perfect taking care of other things in the room acoustics which might not be good for the sound performance, or the listening experience. So both is addressed. The better impulse response from the speaker itself, and the rest of the acoustics even improved with Room Perfect. And then it's really a fantastic symbiosis of 2.
Mm-hmm. So we talked about the bass performance that is optimized when using it against the wall. Mm-hmm. But the mid and the highs, do they also benefit from a placement against the wall in terms of these reflections, second indirect sound waves?
Not so much.
No?
And that is because in the high frequencies, the sound is much more directive. Mm-hmm. So some people are worried that the close distance to the wall does something with the high frequencies. But if you could see sound, you could see that the tweeter really beams straight forward. Okay. Most of its sound energy. It doesn't go around the corner. That's different with the bass. The bass really goes around the speaker. Higher mid-range and definitely the high frequencies, they beam pretty much towards where you sit. So the wall behind it doesn't really matter in this regard.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have a negative side effect.
Okay. So I think we got a very clear picture of this new loudspeaker. So if you want
The
to
rest is up to you.
if you want to hear how it sounds, you could check it out. So thanks you, Roland, for introducing the FR-2 speaker. Hope to see you in the next session of Academy.